there's no beautiful kids AI brand at all. If you were living from my perspective and watching my children develop, it's so fascinating to see how much their brains are ticking because of AI, and what they do with it. Teeny Tales is this kids AI project that I've been working on. Kind of started off as like a homemade experiment. It's literally a dad and kids sort of project, made for kids by kids in a way. Throughout the last couple of years, we'd keep dipping into it. I put it on my Instagram. The demand was overwhelming, like thousands of people signing up to the mailing list. So now we're at a stage where it's like, okay, this is now a product that can very easily be out there. Disney make plenty of acquisitions, $1 billion plus. Could this be a product that lives in that world? Very likely, so you can now create things that can be immensely valuable to these larger companies as part of like an experiment that you just started out at home, which could be a very cool story to tell.
Clap, 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 we're done just right. 5-day sprint took us to new heights. Make it, build it, your dreams ignite. We're making moves at turbo pace.
That's such a good idea as well.
Can you imagine?
Because we almost have like a whole hour discussion before we even start recording them. We're like, we should have recorded that. We should just start recording our meetings. So Ollie and I will do these meetings before we do record these sessions, and then we just go on these amazing tangents. And then there's so much juice in there, and you can't manufacture that again. So just mid conversation, I just said, let's hit record. So you guys are stepping into a mid conversation. Welcome.
Yeah, we solve the world before the world even gets to see our eyes on YouTube, and then all of a sudden we get to here and we're like, all right, we probably need to talk about something now.
So because normally when we're starting our meetings, I'm starting my coffee, and then by the time we get to recording, my coffee's hit and all the juices. Yeah. So we were just speaking about Teeny Tales, and Teeny Tales is this kids AI project that I've been working on. Kind of started off as like a very homemade experiment. I have some videos and photos and stuff from like years ago, which I'll put together in some sort of format at some point. And the very early premise was when I think ChatGPT allowed you to first start creating images, DALL-E. And I was back in London, so this was definitely over 2 years ago. And my daughter was probably about 5 then, maybe, or something. And I was just like, hold on a second, like this thing can create images, cool. And I just started describing her. So I was like, 5-year-old girl, mid-length hair, blah, 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 doing this. And it kind of created an image of her, but I was still amazed by that. Even though the facial features weren't like her, it was like, cool. And I started iterating the prompt to get the facial features. And I sat down, I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then what we did is, I had like nephews, and my brother-in-law would come over, and he said, oh my gosh, like he would love this for, his adventure. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, what's his favorite character? And he said, Sonic. And so I sat on ChatGPT and basically made like 5 slides, opened up Google Slides, put them into a presentation deck, put my own titles on top of it in Google Slides. And then I got ChatGPT to then write a story. I put the text of the story on top of the slides and sent him a PDF. And I said, how does he feel about that? And he loved it. He said, at nighttime, he just keeps wanting to read this. And I was like, oh my gosh, we might have something. And this was like, again, over 2 years ago. Then my daughter kept asking. It was like, Daddy, when can we do this AI? It wasn't even AI. She goes, when can we make more photos? And it just kind of became this thing that my son wanted to get involved a little bit. And then I was like, okay. And then we came up with a name, Teeny Tales, and they helped decide it. So it's like so precious to them, this thing. And they literally call AI Teeny Tales. They literally say, when can we do Teeny Tales? And my youngest, who's now nearly 5, he was probably like 2 at the time, maybe. He's only ever known AI to be Teeny Tales. So to him, when I throw up anything that's AI related, it's like, look, Teeny Tales, even if it's not Teeny Tales, which is actually very cool. And so all of these things were going on, and I was like, okay. Then I started printing some of these things out for like other friends and family, just giving them a story for their kids, being like, hey, how do they feel about it? Still, the likeness was like not great, and that would be the main kind of gripe, I think that's the word, that everyone would have around like, the consistency. And it just became this on and off thing where because it was like more of just a side project weekend thing with my kids. Then slowly, we ended up having this thing called like Daddy AI mornings on every Saturday. We have this thing between my wife and I, because when you have kids, that you basically just have to be up early every day, especially when they're at school, and so Monday to Friday, for sure, you're up 5:36. But then on the weekends, we were like, we never get time to, like, we're always guilty about the sleep because we've got to wake up in the morning. And so we just set this rule where Fridays is like her kind of no time limit zone, so she can sleep whenever she wants, wake up whenever she wants. Don't worry. Saturday morning, kids are with me, we'll handle it, you just do your thing. And I get the same on Saturdays. On Saturdays for me, I get, no limit evenings, which is when I make all my plans. And sometimes I'll just chill at home, watch some football. And then Sundays I get like a bit of a lion. And so that's been such a healthy thing in our home, and so necessary to reset. But the Saturday mornings became the Daddy AI mornings. And so we'd use those mornings always do a different activity. So we do the story making thing was consistent, but then we do other things like, as DALL-E got better, ChatGPT's models got better over time. We do things like sticker making, with their faces. I'd like print a sticker sheet onto sticker paper in the printer. They'd cut them out. Now stickers, literally you can see it here in the kid's room right now as well. He's got one of them on the bed. And so there's ways of them like AI coming into their life in very interesting ways and creative ways, and not in a way where they're we're just speaking about, where people almost think that kids are going to be almost monged out doing nothing. Like that's not the case. Like they want to, it's almost like, that sort of famous image of almost like opening a door and like just lights beaming at you and almost being like such an overwhelming, euphoric type of experience. That's what AI is like for them. And now we do things like Suno to make, this is a good example actually on this topic. When Suno, we'll make songs with it where it will generate the lyrics, it will generate the sounds. They'll end up doing a dance competition between each other. So now they're getting active through something that they've kind of created. There's like this one of the offshoots of that. So there's an active element in their physical life from AI. Now my wife was reading through my daughter's diary. She has a diary she writes, and she was reading through it, and she had 2 pages of lyrics she'd written for a song that she wanted to make with AI, and so she just wrote lyrics down. I'm like, great, well, we're going to put that in Suno, and we're going to try and make it. And so now it's her lyrics, but AI is going to make it come to life. And these are just fun ways for them to utilize this stuff. And so Teeny Tales kind of became this through line that throughout the last couple of years, we'd keep dipping into it. Then when I got into vibe coding a bit, I started to actually build things. I put it on my Instagram. The demand was overwhelming, like thousands of people signing up to the mailing list. We had people even sign up to pay for early access, which we paused for now because we just needed to refine a few things. But we had, we just said $10 a month, put your, money down, let us know if you're interested for early access. And that was overwhelming. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be crazy. And then life happens. I've got businesses and 5-day sprint, all these things going on. And so it's always been this thing that I kept dipping into, and I think over the last week, as I was traveling, I was like, no, I'm really going to start to, figure out where this can go, because Nano Banana Pro is out there now. You've got amazing video models like with VO. We've got, of course, 11 Labs V4 now. And when I looked at the code, I was working with, I think, V2. So there's so many things going on. I just started building it out. And so now we're at a stage where it's like, okay, this is now a product that can very easily be out there. I think there's no beautiful kids AI brand at all, at large, not even just product. I mean brand. I'm talking like OpenAI level brand, Apple level brand, Disney level brand for kids and AI. It just doesn't exist. So I can bring my design world and experience to that. We can create a universe around it, number one. Number two, we've got actual kids who are the test bed. I'm with the audience. I'm doing focus groups 24/7. I'm living with the audience. I am the payer of this product, I'm solving my own problem. That's that. I'm seeing real life use cases going on. Brilliant. Third of all, we're able to actually have them be part of the kind of the actual story of how this all came together is so interesting, because it's literally a dad and kids sort of project, and so that in itself is captivating. Like it's kind of like, not to be cliche, but like made for kids by kids in a way, type of thing. And I think all of these things play such a cool role in it. And then of course, the opportunity of it from a business possibility is enormous. I've always been fascinated with the parent market, because I know myself how many things I pay for just because, the kids want it, or, it's going to allow them to do something, sometimes even something as cynical as buying me half an hour if they can just be busy with something. Okay, cool, here's an activity, whatever it is, we'll pay for it, type of thing. Their parents do that all day long, and so if you've got a $10 a month product out there that's preparing them for the future, like, why would you not? And then you've got these use cases of what we're actually doing with it. We're using actual kids. Like if you were living from my perspective and watching my children develop, it's so fascinating to see how much their brains are ticking because of AI, and what they do with it. Coloring pages they'll create, and they'll put the actual image that we're creating on the TV, and they like seeing the images up there, and then they'll print a coloring page version, so they're copying the coloring. which is brilliant. The coloring is getting great. So there's so many offshoots of this, but more than anything, I think if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, it kind of reminds me of what I think it was Belkin, the charging cables. The guy who started that, I want to say Belkin or Anker, one of them. When he was building them, one of the biggest kind of pushbacks you get from investors and people was like, well, why wouldn't Apple just go and do this themselves? You're making leads for Apple. And his ambition was like, I'd love to be in the Apple store with my products. Be like, well, why would they do that? They have their own charging cables. They have their own power bank, not power banks, but like, why would they put this stuff in there? And his insight was very interesting. It was effectively like, well, this is still a $2 billion market, $3 billion, $4 billion market to a $500 billion company. It's peanuts, like they're not going to put the resources in there, but for a startup, it's a huge opportunity. And I think something like this is so interesting because yes, AI at large is a big opportunity, but you can take the likes of, you could put OpenAI in the bucket and say, hey, OpenAI could very much benefit from a kids education version of their product. Disney, they may accusation. I'm sure they're acquisitions. But Disney make plenty of acquisitions, $1 billion plus, for technology, for products, whatever it is, IP. Could this be a product that lives in that world? Very likely, so you can now create things that can be immensely valuable to these larger companies as part of like an experiment that you just started out at home, which could be a very cool story to tell, and I think that's the other part of this that gets me so excited is like, it's very meta, a bit like the 5-day sprint. It's like the 5-day sprint is built using the same framework itself. It's almost like the chicken and the egg happen at the same time. And the same thing with Teeny Tales. It's almost like we're creating a storyline. The whole product is built around the idea of a story and kids, and so like what you're watching the story behind the scenes of this thing coming to life. And part of that is watching this video. And also wherever it goes, that's also part of the story. Even the onboarding, I love the idea of just like throwing people straight into the editor experience. And the first story you're watching is actually a story of how to use Teeny Tales. Does that make sense? So you're learning through the interface. So yeah, just so many fascinating things. But just to tie up quickly on the point you mentioned before we joined the call, which was around a use case where, over the weekend, my son, he found an ant and he was like obsessed with where this ant came from. Like where's a hole so we can make sure no ants come. And we live in Dubai, so you're never going to not have, insects. And so he started looking around the house. I took a picture of him. And then the psychological thing is that in this world we're in right now, the one thing that kids want so much of, as it would at any time, but more now than ever, is a parent's attention. And with our devices, and every parent knows, you can just be sitting on your phone and you never really think about what that looks like from a child's perspective. So like they just want attention, they want time. For me, Teeny Tales has become such a fun way of giving them my attention by creating an experience around something so mundane as like looking for an ant. He's looking at that. He doesn't even know I'm taking a picture of him because I just don't find that's funny. Then the next day, he's got about his mission. He's told me he's found the ant. And then literally in that moment, I was like, we need to make a story about this. Then we made a story around his adventures finding the ant, using his likeness as the image. Man, this guy was fascinated by it, and they've made countless stories by now and it never gets old because always a new story, something else exciting going on. And it allows me to be engaged with him as a parent. It creates a core memory where like there's an emotional experience, there's attention, dad did this with us, we printed it, wherever it is. And I just find that so just fascinating and invigorating. And I want every parent to have access to that so they can do those type of things with their kids, because you can literally create a story within moments, like so effectively. But then also I want kids to be able to want that from their parents. I then make a story out of it. Let's go on an adventure and let's turn it into a Teeny Tale story. How can we do that? And so, yeah, I'm just obsessed with that whole landscape. But I really do think like this in itself can be so interesting, so exciting. And, I thought we could get into a little bit of that today, brainstorm, show a bit of where we're at, and maybe throughout the course of this next month or so, as we want to try and release this product, it'll be good to share a bit of the journey, I think.
100 million. I had to make a note whilst you were talking mid-sentence there because I was like, another cool idea we can lean on. But for me anyway, I think there's a huge opportunity that allows your children to start playing with these AI tools, although it being inside of a different product itself, where they start recognizing these patterns of how things work and preparing them for the future. Because we're definitely going to go one of two ways in this world where like your time is accelerated downwards because AI is doing most of the output for you, which means what you're going to do with your spare time. I think weirdly people are going to like lean towards that creativity, getting out into nature, doing all these different cool
Mhm,
things.
mhm,
If you're allowing your children and even adults, I think will use this product. Like genuinely, like I haven't seen yet, so this is going to be the first time I've seen this new version of Teeny Tellers. But what got me excited a couple months back around it was the ability that it's going to take and allow people to almost leave their circle of being inside of work,
mhm.
enduring content, listen to podcasts, like being fixated to their phone. It's almost like we've now got a digital product that can actually allow them to escape that world, but by using that world. So
Mhm.
building Teeny Tales on this platform, and then you could go and print off the pieces of papers, then go and let your children color them in. And it's like that's the ability that I think we've all grown through the cycle that, especially for me, I have to write notes down to then memorize them to then know that if I'm stood 10 miles away or 15 miles away, I can still remember that thought I had. I think a large piece of that also comes down to like by doing this thing online and then printing it off and then doing it in person inspires the thoughts to go, okay, cool, I love doing that bit. Now can we go and do the next one? Or I love
Yeah.
that. Can we even think about, can this picture instead, now it's printed off, can we add a few more trees or a pirate ship behind the scenes? It's like, okay, cool, we'll go back to the tool and we go and do it again. We reiterate, and it's, I don't know, I'm one excited for you to show me, let alone everyone else, how this product looks. But there's, you touched on earlier, the tools that when it first came around. So when you were using it 2 years ago, they weren't great, right? But we thought they were
Mhm,
brilliant because it's all
mhm,
we knew. We only
mhm.
knew that these are the things. We also knew there was a lot of things that needed to change. I like this project to the likes of Uber when they first released, and everyone was like, "Oh,
Mhm,
why would I need this?" Or like,
mhm.
what's the efficiency of it?" I think, and I might be wrong, it took 8 years for Uber to become Uber
Yeah.
because when they first released, it was under a different name. No one really saw the principle of why it would work, and then all of a sudden, like, you cannot live without Uber, and that's where I see something like this, which is the image generation wasn't great then. You knew how good the product could be. Carry on using it internally. The product market is in your house, which is brilliant. And of course, the fellow peers and friends that you have. And now the products are getting better externally. It means, okay, cool. Well, this product's only going to get better. And by being part of Teeny Tales and having it now, I always refer to this. I get bored of saying it. AI is the worst it's ever going to be today. So what's it going to be in 6 months' time? Like, what's the
Absolutely.
image generation going to be like then?
Well, that's the interesting thing is, and the Uber reference is a very good um, kind of symbol of this point. Um, People really underestimate, I think, um, just the value of brand as a moat in this sort of AI world. You can if you again place yourself psychologically of like, yes, there's tools like, as a program or whatever, yes, there's a little bit of affinity towards whether you use Claude Code or, Codex, whatever. But you've seen over the last, even over the last few months, how people have, taken a bit more to Gemini over OpenAI, whatever. I think there's always going to be a little bit of that going on with these sort of big players. But if you're thinking about specific niche use cases, you're going to find your brand that you love. You're going to find, for many reasons. One huge reason will be, just trust, the people behind it. Do we trust the people who are doing this, how they're taking care of our data, how they're actually building products and services for us, like how they're serving us? Do we enjoy that? And so people will have that. And that's why Apple is the brand it is as well. Of course, they build beautiful products and services, but there's a moat because of the brand too. So I think like you can do that. Uber as well. Like, it's become a verb almost. So it's going to be essential. And I think we haven't had enough of a life cycle yet to see the real big winners in that space. And I think, look, kids AI is almost completely untapped right now. I think I see mucky versions of products that people build together, sort of like AI slop versions of things just to get in on the opportunity. And that's not going to do it. Like, you have to have a compelling product and a compelling brand and something that excites children, something that excites parents, something that is genuinely created with a level of love, care, and obsession to an extent. I think that's just required, and that nothing like that exists out there. And I think with what we're creating with Teeny Tales, you can stand toe for toe with the likes of, if OpenAI had a ChatGPT Kids, well, I think this product could stand toe for toe with it, both in terms of the product experience, the visuals, the brand, everything. Um, so I think it'll be very interesting. There's definitely going to be a shift into education for kids and AI. That's 100% going to happen. Can we get in there at a good enough, stage? Are we seeing something interesting here that I've got a unique vantage point of that I can leverage? could be the case. And I think I'm very fascinated by that. But really over the long term, can this become a sort of an app store for kids AI? And I know we've spoken about that idea, but I love that version of reality too. Can we create something where the story builder is one application? We then have the coloring book as another application. There's actually countless things that you can do with AI. And the challenge here from a vibe coding perspective, and a good challenge to create, is how do you make almost a sort of an SDK framework infrastructure within Teeny Tales that's easy for us to go and like just pipe out different types of products without it being like a whole new build, like duplicating a page and have to like function all the features. No, like how can we create a system that talks very freely? So to your point earlier, you can be out in nature. I might be out in nature. The other parent could be out in nature, wherever we get feedback from. And like, oh, well, we came across this random thing, and we want to learn more about it, a creature, or whatever it is. And just knowing that, oh, there's a tool or app that I can go to in Teeny Tales that will educate us more, maybe through a story, maybe through an educational resource, but we know we can go and do something. There's a huge increase of homeschooling right now, right? Like homeschooling is on the rise. Could this be a great AI interface for homeschooling and for people to be able to create, activities and resources and really personalized experience? Can it learn more about the child over time? Because we have their birth date, the platform can mature with them over time. It can actually learn their habits, their behaviors, their interests through the way they use the product. It can be very contextual towards their specific use case, towards that child, to keep them engaged, to keep them excited, to keep them learning. Could this become the only platform that they want to learn from? This is the only thing they want to do. Like I said, my kids literally refer to AI as Teeny Tales. They don't even use the word AI. So, okay, can this be the de facto in all households? Like all of these things are so interesting and, really tickle that curiosity in my mind, because I don't know where it leads, but they all sound very plausible. And so you want to start mapping that out, putting it together and getting it into people's hands so that you can start to see, okay, what does this look like over time? And like I said, homeschooling is one we spoke about. Schools, of course, being able to have them use this internally, which would be brilliant. Councils is a point that you raised, for them to help get this in schools, which is definitely going to be something huge, that people haven't even thought about right now. Governments wanting to make sure they're doing this type of stuff and getting everyone educated, because they do have to think about the future of their economy, and you have to start, upskilling and thinking about the smartness and the AI sort of legibility, if that's the right word. I'm using random words right now, but the AI skillfulness. There's a word I'm looking for. I can't find it.
Awareness is probably a good way of using it.
Awareness. Good word.
I think so.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's plenty of these like kind of different ways it kind of takes shape. And then gifting was another one we made a point of just knowing that, hey, I would love to. I haven't even done that myself yet, but that's like a use case that I'm dying to try for myself, which is the next time there's a kids event, whether it's a birthday or something as simple as them getting a certificate at school because they achieved something, even if it was a family friend, doesn't have to be my kids alone, could sending them a physical book with a story of that and maybe putting your face on them and just being about how you're proud of them as an uncle could be such a cool experience and a memory for them and something they keep with them as a physical thing, but something that you can never do before, and that's such a big part of this, which is last week, 2 weeks ago, Nana Banana Pro didn't exist. You couldn't even have this type of business. You couldn't even have this type of experience. It's just impossible. So why would you not be like shivering in your boots right now, trying to find ways to stick together, glue together things to create new opportunities? I was listening to a podcast with the founder of Ring he was on My First Million. And he's of that similar mindset to Jeff Bezos, which is pre their product existing, the kind of conditions weren't correct for it to exist. But as you started to have mobile phones, connectivity, all these type of things that had to kind of come together for the Ring to exist, it was the right timing, and that product could now exist that couldn't have existed maybe pre-App Store, pre-mobile devices. And so that's kind of what I think is such a big opportunity in AI in general, and not just in this like kind of space in itself, but in many areas. Is like, how can you AI-fy entire cohorts of society, but with beautiful brands, beautiful experiences, and things that they actually want to see? I'm very, very curious about that. So I think like this is, all the way up my alley with all those things,
No, 1,000,000%. There, and for clarity of people in the community watching this away from just the
Yeah.
YouTube audience, this isn't like a new tool that's coming out of nowhere of such. Like everything still remains the same. This is actually a 2-year business from the day that you first
Right.
started using DALL-E to now being able to like. I wanted to get this bit in just before I knew you were going to mention it later on. I know you've built this in a really short space of time, like as in the user phase and how everything works. But this is actually a 2-year project, and
Mm.
so it's like because the skill that you've got and the skills you obviously teach as well, it makes it possible to do it in 5 days or
Mm-hmm.
even less,
Mm-hmm.
or in 10 days, or how many days it is. It's actually the 2 years that builds up to doing it the first time, sending it out to your friends, doing it the next time, sharing it with your children, then doing it every single Saturday morning, and do it every single evening when they come home from school. It's like there's different bits to this that builds the bigger picture of how this looks. What's so brilliant about AI is it takes you 5 days to go and build this thing, right? It's
Yeah,
just then
yeah,
user
yeah.
ready that allows people to go and do stuff, but it's consistently reiterating, getting feedback, seeing how things work. New tool comes into space, going, okay, cool, it works for my business, but can it work for teeny tails as well? Yeah, brilliant. Okay, cool, it's a
Really.
massive tick. And that's what I think as well is, which regardless of anyone doing anything, there becomes a certain stage where the thing they first enjoyed when they're a child or whatever it is, or the idea they've had to create a business actually becomes possible. Similar to
Yes.
Ring, similar to Uber, similar
Yeah.
to exactly this Teeny Tales, where although the idea was hot on the press, I remember, like I say this all the time, I first found you through the Greg video.
Yeah.
And I even, like, weirdly, I even think that the quality of the video that you created for Greg's Magic Cup, if you release that today, is like, if that was Teeny Tales, I'd be like, oh, this is still brilliant. Like, this is still very, very good. But the eventuality of what more you can go and do now, how accessible it is, literally can create a coloring page, can literally go and create all these different bits that I'm dying for you to share, of course, because I want you
Well,
to go and tell everyone how it works. But
yeah, no, and even to your point, like of the kind of 2-year period and this way these sort of things are built. I'm actually just pulling up real quick. So not that this works. Here. This is the video.
is this
Mm,
the Greg one?
yeah. So this is what Greg and I did, and basically, I actually just text Greg. I'd made this thing basically where you can see it. Where's the end result? There's a little bit of it here. You can see
Yeah.
where we took images, and this is still me. By the way, what's crazy here is I'm manually in Premiere Pro editing this together. And showing him kind of how it all came together, and then going through the process of how I did it. There's so many manual steps, and now it's actually been completely automated with AI. So even the editing process, and I learned over time. So it's such a good example of, like, again, the reason it's so hard to explain this stuff is you have to, shift your mindset in such a profound way where any of your ideas can turn into businesses. And yes, you kind of have to focus on one thing at a time. I do think that. I don't think we're all Elon Musks. I think that is important to pick focus and drive into it. But you can almost like pick your focus of the hour, not the hour, literally, but like of the moment. So like I've been mulling over ideas in AI over, as I've been working with enterprise clients and saying, oh, that's interesting. Could I work in this space? Whatever. And then like almost like having mini sort of garage projects and things that you just aren't quite finished. But I say it's a little kind of prototype put together. You left it there, maybe very manual, doesn't have like things automated, whatever. But it's just like a thing that you've just sort of tweaked around with just to tickle a little bit of curiosity. You park that, you go about your life, but that's always in your universe. And so Teeny Tales, Guilty Chef, Best to Buy, 5-Day Sprint. These are all examples of things that just live in my mind rent free. And as I'm wandering through life as a parent, as someone living in Dubai and experiencing what it needs and then building a directory around it, as I love cooking. Guilty Chef came of that. 5-Day Sprint, my love of AI and sharing the stuff I'm building. All of these things actually are versions of my personality, but then they're layered on top with some sort of product, with a brand, with monetization, and then tactics that you can use with AI to actually turn them into something that can stand on its own feet. But they start off as just these sort of curiosities that you tinker with, and you don't you know, if you go into these type of things with like oh, I have to create an AI business and that's just work. And what's the one idea? I just think that's such a flawed mindset. I think it has to be such an introspective process. And all the things that you're picking up in the 5-day sprint and through what we're doing is just equipping yourself with the tactics, techniques, skills, tools to be able to learn as you're going, but also then those curiosities you have benefit from these skills you're learning because you can like apply them. And so as I've gone over time and I'm like, oh, well now, when I first started talking about Teeny Tales, I was literally using ChatGPT and prompting. Now it's its whole own editor. Like I was even just showing this is January, this video with Greg. I was still using Premiere Pro to stitch together videos and, you know, ChatGPT, then taking them into Kling and, you know, going into Premiere Pro and doing everything manually. And now that is all happening programmatically by itself. And I've built my own editor interface into my product, which I didn't even know how to do that 1 week ago, you know? And so while I was traveling last week, I figured out how to build an editor. And so all these things that like are just curiosities you stack up over time and the product ends up, you know, taking shape, but you can just dip in and then you pick your focus of the hour. And so the focus of the hour at some points has been best to buy. You release that, you get iteration out, 5-day sprint, you get an iteration out. Now Teeny Tales, you get an iteration out, you know, because this like, okay, now it's at a point where I've gathered all the little like pieces I needed. Now I'll always be adding more over time. Like you're saying, AI is only going to get better. Great. But I feel like everything is sort of like synced nicely where I feel, yes, now it's the home straight. Let me now like power this through and get into people's hands. And that's like such an important way of how I think you should be thinking about building products, not this sort of like, I need it to be 100% perfect the moment I sit in front of my computer type thing. You know what I mean?
No, it's all right. I don't know how you're so nonchalant by saying, "Oh, well, I built an editor."
I mean, not
I mean,
quite.
that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing.
Well, this is we'll go through a bit of it and let's see where we're at. So
Yeah, I'm excited for this.
a lot of the changes were actually visual that I made. And I think like I give this reference before, but this is a product called shots.so. And I have loved this for a while. And shots.so is a good example. Remove.bg is a good example, but it's not a visually compelling one. It's just like a very, you know, utilitarian tool that just does what it needs to do. You upload image, removes the background, you're just straight into the product. And I've never built a project that goes straight into the product. Like shots.so goes straight to the product, and all the other stuff is supplementary, like on the side. You know what I mean? Even the way they do that is beautiful, like templates. You kind of just have it on the side. But I just love this whole interface in general, by the way, just how it works. And so my thing was, I want people to land. I'll never create a product where people can just land into the experience. And I think that'll be fun to create. And but I haven't decided that yet because I keep being lured into the idea of like these really cool like hero sections that I want to create, where maybe you kind of come into the page, it says go anywhere, learn anything, and you still see a hero section of like a camera, like kind of hand pop up with the camera view and a child on the other side. You press the button, it moves out the way, and kind of like the world just, the child morphs, that same image morphs into the animated version. The world builds behind them. And if you take it a step further, almost a child says like sort of come in, walks around, and then walks back and is walking into this universe, you know, and like, that's the hero. So something about that is also like a compelling idea. And then as you scroll down, maybe it says enter studio, it could say enter coloring book thing, whatever it is. So the landing page could be very compelling, and I do still feel like it's worth like exploring. Could be an A/B test, but I also do like the idea of people landing straight in the interface and building off the back. So this is where we're at right now. So a few things here. One thing that I really wanted to do. So if you refresh this, we have this kind of cool animation stuff. I'm gonna tighten up some of these and clean them up. So one thing I did is I changed this into dark mode. There was some like, it was a lot more light mode before, but I liked the dark mode. I think it works well. I just liked sort of how these icons look now as well with the tooltips. So these are just some small details that like kind of made a difference to me. And you know, this is going to be an export function here. There'll be a buy section here, which we want to try and connect to some sort of like third-party printer that, depending on where your location is, you can get physical book dispatched to you. Have to figure out the logistics of that still. You know, store even things like this, like we've got to fix that a bit. There should be an animation here. It's not really working right now, but I'm supposed to like smooth out and smooth in. Changed a lot of this to apply for dark mode, made the buttons a lot more subtle. See even the little coin flips there. These are like nice little things that I like. Again, these are just Lottie animations. Like if you go to Lottie, I've showed you so many times, but Icon Scout, hit Lottie and you can just say whatever, you know, coins, for example. I would find like an animation here for like, you know, like a coin toss. I think it might be one of these type ones. Coins fly in the air. And basically you can just say to Claude Code, here's a lottery, you upload to your super base, and then it will create the basic animation there for you, and actually got it to snip the animation, because at the end, I see that there's another coin that's trying to drop down, so I need to cut it a bit more. But I wanted this sort of motion of it just smoothly just going up and down while you're hovering over the button, and when you hover over it, just sits. So like, again, that was just like little tweaks in Claude Code just asking to do that. Made these a little bit neater as well. Where, like, you know, again, not so, they were too heavy before in terms of, you know, buttons, so I just made them a bit more subtle, font changes or whatever. So yeah, these are just elements. And so you switch through, you got the edit photo, choose voice. So I need to clean up some of this UI still, haven't finished these elements. And then we have the editor interface here. So this I'm still working on, but just from an interface level, it's basically a timeline that just basically is like at the bottom now. You kind of have the page layer, you have the video layer, and you have the audio layer. And so the page layer will basically allow you to switch between. And if you click on the page layer, this automatically changes to edit photo. So you basically can immediately start editing the photo in the background, whatever you want. You can go here to edit more stuff like the text or wherever else. I could maybe combine these two into like a page control, but I haven't decided yet. And if you click on one of these, it goes to the video tab. So you can like edit the video. Basically, you can like, if there is a video there at the start. I don't know if we're going to introduce that, but we'll see. And that's an example of something that could be a premium feature, you know. So there'll be a free interface of this. There may be some tokens you get for free. Start creating stories and doing things. Upgrade for more features like video and audio. Switch to the audio tab. Maybe start playing a bit around with audio. Maybe over time introduce your own you know, voices. I think those at the moment, I still think you have to add like a certain level of transcript into 11 Labs to generate audio. But I think in no time we're going to be able to just hit a record button, get them to say a sentence that comes on the screen, and then it will just like kind of create their voice profile, which I think would be super cool. And then imagine like the story just being read. And I think another great use case for this is, imagine having stories being read to you, not in a morbid way, but like relatives that might have passed away, you know, like you're hearing your grandmother's voice reading a story to you. Like, how cool would that be if they've explicitly, for example, given you permission to do that, or whatever the format of that is, which I find interesting. So here we have, let's create a story now. So we're basically using Nano Banana here to set this up. Now, the actual flow that goes on is you would go to this login page. And again, I like things like, I'm going to make this more dark mode and stuff as well, but you know, your next adventure awaits. You can go to continue with Google. We'll go to test registration right now. You can choose what type of account you want. So you have parent account, guardian, student, or teacher. And accordingly, sort of, again, you see these things just change the permissions. And that's, again, just one quick prompt in Claude Code to ask to do that, which normally would be a whole thing that you have to set up, right? I'm set up myself here. So let's say Omar Choudhry. Let's throw in some random data. Yeah, that's not my birthday, but whatever. Continue. Oh, hold on a second. Let's see. You know what? At the moment, the way it's set up is if it tries to create a same account with the same name, I've got to fix that. So let's do a different name. Let's do Omar Chow. Let's see if that works. Hey, let's try again. Okay. We're seeing debugging in real time. You say Omar. Okay, I'm just going to say water. It's not random. Because I think
the beauty of live demos.
Live demos. Yeah, so what we have at the moment is basically in the database, if it finds the same name again, because I haven't actually signed up with an email, there's no email for it to assign it to create a new account. So if it just matches by name. So I've used so many variations of my name in the database already, so it spits them out. But even these little things here, create a new profile, little kid images are really cool. You know, first names, let's just say Cairo. I'm going to say K. So we'll just put a random birthday in here. We'll put his actual year though, because it'll be good to see the year. Boy, what is he into? Let's say Hot Wheels, for example. What have I done wrong here? Okay, cool. Great character. And now you go into the upload photo. So we are going to have a take a photo thing. So you can like actually have them like take a photo and it do that on the thing, but I haven't configured all of that yet. I love these, again, these UI elements that just make it a delightful experience for the end user, you know? Again, these are just emojis. If you go to Lottie and you type in emoji, you'll just get a series of emojis that come up. You can find packs, you can find things, and you can just use these in your project. So, you know, I'm using these down here. I'll upload a photo. So I should have one right here of him. There he is. Little Cairo. Use photo. And now what happened is a few things happen at API here. It uploads it. and then it sends that immediately to before now. What it was doing is it goes direct to Nano Banana and uses the image reference to create the image. That's why we get such a high quality reference now. And if you remember at the start of the call, I was saying that originally I was sitting in ChatGPT literally explaining the features. And so if I look at child profiles here, even the version I was working on in June, in the child's profile, we have hairstyle, hair color, eye color, skin tone, facial features, accessories, upper body outfit, upper body color, lower body outfit, lower body color, hair length, and all these type of things. Because the way the prompt was constructed, we were sending the image to OpenAI to look at the image and provide an analysis. It was outputting JSON with all these elements to say, okay, this is the eye color, hair color, whatever, so that it could create a likeness. I was storing that likeness in the database, then I was sending that likeness to Leonardo AI because their image references weren't so good at that time, so that it could have a good reference of the type of character I'm trying to create. Now, with Nano Banana Pro, the image references got so good that it makes the product faster and therefore a better experience for the user because it goes through one API. So it's gone through one API in Nano Banana and it's created a like-for-like image of him. And so you can see right here, there he is. And if I just pull up again, he's right outside, this guy.
He can sense that you're building him.
Yeah, so you can see there's his face and there's the likeness, you know what I mean? And so he'd be very happy with that. It looks like him, you know, I mean, good to go. It's even kind of match the clothing, whatever. So great. Now I probably will have something here maybe where they can almost like play around a little bit here, edits, prompts, whatever they want. Maybe a little bit of editing tools, we'll see. But once you've done that, you hit accept and continue and you go straight into the interface.
I'm having to make notes because this is the first time I'm seeing it. And I just absolutely love this product.
Oh man, thank you. No, I'm so glad. I mean, this is again, I'm probably gonna kill this. I made like basically a dashboard, almost like I was trying to go for like an OpenAI type look, but I just don't think it's necessary. I think like what we'll do is probably just go into the actual, you know, make experience. So let's say create story, and now we're here. Child profile loads. It's in your adult account. So obviously, you know, maybe add, you know, more kids to your account, whatever. So his profiles are up in there, brilliant. Now, because I said Hot Wheels at the beginning, if I click Tail AI, this is button. Throughout the experience, I use AI to create a story suggestion based on their interest. That's why we capture their interest, is because you think you're just putting in their hobby. But actually, that tiny bit of information allows us to now tailor the experience a little bit more. So even when his face came up as an avatar profile, I could have him on a Hot Wheels track, for example, you know, and that might just delight him. Because again, when you're sitting here, it's like, yeah, a plain avatar actually at the moment is quite boring, right? And so a plain avatar is nice for the sake of the avatar. So what I might do is like have a background prompt, Nano Banana going on, generating the avatar for their profile picture, but maybe the actual aha image that comes up after you upload the image will be something a bit more visually appealing based on their interest, which they could tweak as well. So you can put in your own, you know, story adventure here, but let's say Racetrack City theme. Again, you can hit Tail AI to generate a theme. We have these nice little sort of like, you know, again, Lottie animations, globe and stuff that will change. But you can say something for problem solving, for example. Now it'll go off and it will contextualize the theme based on whatever he's dealing with here. So let's instead say Rainbow Racetrack City, let's say theme, you know, making friends. And then clothes. So, you know, we don't want to take, if we just continued as normally, we'll just use his same likeness, so his clothing that we put in. But we could say right now I want to use, you know, let's not even do that actually. Let's see if it figures out clothing based on the context of the story. But we will change the shoes and we'll say here, we're going to say red Crocs, just to show you guys how it works.
Oh yeah.
Extras will say he's wearing, you know, a Paw Patrol watch. Now, another huge part of this over time could be licensing rights. So where you start to actually, again, creating a moat. If you create a product that hundreds of thousands, whatever, you know, parents are using, you now have leverage to go to Mattel, Disney, whoever, and say, hey, we're seeing a lot of people use this. We don't have any characters in there. Do you want to introduce your character universe into this? Maybe get some sort of royalties, rights, whatever it is, because they effectively, it's a way for them to engage with that product. You know, same way they're putting content on YouTube. Would you want to? So you can now actually have a universe in here and you can go pick out, okay, I want to use Chase in my story, but because we have the rights from the brand, we're actually able to actually use them in the story. Now, at the moment, we're using Nano Banana, which just throws all this stuff in anyway. So could you create a part of this where, again, ask for forgiveness, not permission? We could kind of already throw characters in there, probably. So I'm super down to like explore that, and I think it'll make it for a fun experience. But let's just do this. Special moments. Let's say, I don't know, dad comes to cheer along. Yeah, great. Again, you can press tail Lights, generate your own. Reading age 2 to 3, pages 5, and then basically you'll use 4 tokens, you can make tail. And now it goes off. Again, I'm going to make this a bit more smooth. I've got little things I want to tweak about the storytelling experience. Now, what you'll notice here, if you read this, the loading text is contextualized based on the story. Planning your adventure, building your racetrack, you see?
Oh, that's cool.
Split second, we're sending another prompt to Claude. So we've got so many layers of prompts going on here. So one, immediately, Claude gets notified about the story and then generates the loading script. So that's happening. And then in the background, we're creating the actual story and the image and everything else going on too. So there you go. Is Rainbow Racetrack friends. Images are now loading. So again, we've got things to fix here, like, you know, the size of the text and whatever else. And so the audio, well, it's saying audio is generated, because I changed the controls here from the other ones. The play doesn't actually play it right now, but we'll see in a moment if we can fix that. Because that is the next thing that I want to work on. If you see here, I already asked Claude Code to explain to me how 11 Labs currently works in the system, just to give me a little bit of a reminder of how I've set things up. And now you'll see in just a moment, again, going off to Nano Banana, it will generate his story. And so you'll see here on the first layer, we'll start to see these image placeholders populate just in UI. So there he is, Cairo's Racetrack City. So this is his book. Yeah. So now we can go to the next page. This swipe isn't actually working here right now, but we'll go here. Oh no, I'll just swipe from here. There you go. Then it writes the story out for him. You know, it puts him in the Adidas clothes that he was wearing at the start. He's got his red Crocs and his Paw Patrol watch. Yeah, so it picks up on all the details. This is how great. I love this model so much. You know, there you go. And the watch is a bit whatever, but, you know, then he's going through this, a friendship race, you know, and dad's coming on to cheer on. And even things like the context of the family is built into the, so these are small details you won't notice. But based on the character's likeness, it will also infer the family's likeness. And so if it understands that, oh, you know what, like, you know, whether it's the complexion of the kid, the race, the culture, whatever it is, it might be able to take that into account and then generate the family off the back of it, just so there's some level of general sort of like, you know, through line. But what I think we will have over time is you sort of building your family tree in a way. So you can have a picture of mom in there, picture of dad in there, your siblings. And so at any point, it already can pick out the reference for your universe, and we'll connect them all up. So that's another really fun thing that we could do, and I'm actually curious to start playing around with. And then, yeah, so let's go and edit an image now. So go on, do you want to say something?
No, and that's super simple to do as well. I mean, if we look at platforms like FreePick, where you can, I mean, Nano Banana itself, on AI Google Studio or FreePick, all you have to do is click at and then image 1 or image 2, whichever your reference image is, and it can then drag it in. But for use case scenario of how this works, to make it actually really, really simple for families to use, there'll be so much that you can go and do and explore to make that a really simple and simultaneous thing. It could be as simple as where Cairo age 4 is at the top left. It's like, okay, well, one of the family account there, and you can then tag which of the families that appear in these projects. But I mean, just to quickly touch on first visuals, everything that comes from it, this is actually mental.
Crazy, right?
Genuinely mental. Like I know the image generation quality has now gone up a whole nother level, but I don't know what, like, whether it's the prompting stuff that you've done. I mean, look at that. It's just, you actually feel as if you're stood there. Like you feel like you're stood inside the project. You feel like you're stood inside the actual story that's going on right now. I can imagine how a child must feel when they see stuff like this.
Really?
You'd almost feel disheartened that that's not actually, well, you couldn't actually just go and walk through another door in the house, then go into that world because it's that cool, that creative.
It's insane, isn't it? It's like, to create visuals like this, like usually you have to have an animation studio do it, and we could turn into a video as well. Let me hit play. Can you hear that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Is it narrating?
Yeah,
Is it?
it's playing on my side, but I don't know why it's not playing on the other side. I might check settings at some point. But basically, it's a narration that comes from 11 Labs. At the moment, it's quite boring anyway. It's just like a mundane voice. We have this make movie button. I don't know if it works because I did this a while back. Let's hit it and let's see. It might
Can
just,
I ask you a question about 11 Labs?
yeah.
So 11 Labs, as we know right now, they had that feature where you could have expressions in the conversations. So you can like put inside of speech brackets or inside of brackets that like overexcited or disheartened, and then the tone of the voice as it starts speaking changes when it hits those motions. I don't know if 11 Labs is ready just yet for that to then be passed through an API, but have you experienced that just yet at the minute in time where you can make those adaptations?
No, I haven't done that. I'm literally at a stage now where I'm going to start playing around with the 11 Labs API. It's just a standard mundane voice right now. This thing's Rachel or something, whatever it's called. It's just like a basic voice we're using. Which model? Rachel, yeah. So
Nice.
now I need to go in there and actually start to find a voice I like, actually play around with it and that's the next step that I'm really curious to play around with, is like, what does that look like with actual, different voices, be able to change voices, inflection points, whatever. That'll be really, really, really interesting. So I think I'm just testing this because I did this back in August, actually, when I was in London, generating the movie. We're using, I think, Runway in the background to actually take the image and then generate a video of it and then stitch them together into a story. So I'm going to see if it works because I haven't tried it in a while. If it does, it'll be cool to see. If it doesn't, something to work on. But VO3 will be so much better now anyway. So we could use VO for this to generate a video. So now you can actually create a movie off the back of it, premium feature, whatever you want. There are just so many just juicy elements, that can tie off into this product. And it's just fun. It's just so compelling. And now, so you can start seeing now all the kind of bits that we've got to tie up just to make this like kind of, shippable. But I'm very excited to do that. And again, all this, like if I work on 11 Labs right now, we might even work on it together. It's not too long of a project, too big of a thing to do. Like you can have that curiosity you said right now about inflection points, and maybe in the next, 15 minutes, it can just be implemented, So it's really possible to do these things, very, very quickly. So let's see what it does with processing movie. I'm curious because I don't even know. I haven't hit this button in a long time.
Runway's I keep seeing Runway popping up at the minute in time. They must be doing some really incredible things because I am inundated of seeing it, but I've never had a reason to use it, so I've not yet used it. But I'm excited to see. I mean, of course, if this works, then fantastic. But even just the level of detail and quality it goes through to turn this into a movie, because I know you'll have prompts behind the scenes that engineer this to turn it into a movie, but it's like, it's not really got much to go off. You think about how much input we've given it today. Like you've given it a Paw Patrol watch, you've given it racetrack themed, you've given it a character, and then one, it's gone and then made an incredible story. But two, if it can go make a movie, that's
insane, right?
Yeah, it's a different level.
Let's see what's going on here. Console. Okay, so it's waiting to receive the movie. So here, Leonardo image. This is still images, I think. Okay, the images. The videos here, let's see. This is a Leonardo in the console, but we are using Nano Banana.
You might be using Nano Banana instead of Leonardo.
No, we are using Nano Banana. It's just saying Leonardo because in the comments it's set to that at the moment in the code.
I see.
Okay, this is processing all videos generated ready for movie stitching. Okay, so what we can do is let's go here to the database and see if we can see story pages. So what was it? Is there videos anywhere? The video URL. I don't know if this is the same one, but let's see. There you go. This is a Runaway basic version, so it's created a video. VO will be so much better than this anyway. But,
yeah.
You can get a little sense of just the fact that you can create videos, you know what I mean? Things like this. That was very weird. Yeah, VO will be so much better than this. So we'll install VO. Look, he just got smaller and everything. But it just goes to show that even though this is, again, this is what I was saying about working in the garage. Like this is that thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not all about smashing out the park right away. It's these iterations. This is like, just setting up something to see if it's possible and then letting yourself mull over it. Let time happen. Let you figure things out as you go. But really what you're seeing here are all of the elements required to make this a killer product and also a killer business. You know, it's just like, this is it. And it's not been more than about, it's almost like if I say the number of days that it's really taken in the form of like 8-10 hour full days, it's going to sound so ridiculous. But I'm trying to, like, my mind
Do
is
it.
on, no, I had another 1 or 2 days into it just so you sound a bit more humble. But honestly, man, like back to back from blank slate to this using a 5-day sprint framework, 5 days, literally. I think actually it's 5 days. It's not been more than that. Like, you know, just stitching these things together and getting it work to the stage it's at right now. You know, and I'll be working on it in chunks. So I'd spend like 3 hours here, 4 hours here, whatever. And all of that has been over the period of maybe like 12 days altogether. You know, but if you stitch all the time together and like actual sitting down working hours, like you probably get it to about 5 days. So, you know, it's going to be crazy to see what this turns into, and how it kind of comes together. But man, I'm just so excited about it, you know, and I'm really curious to say, okay, what can we do with like 11 labs? How can we take to the next level?
Well, this is the super exciting thing that I think that we spoke about earlier on today. You now have the ability to AI is moving at a really fast pace. Like we all
Yeah,
know it. Like it's exhausting. It's tough to keep up with. It's hard to not try and use things that you might think help your business that probably don't.
yeah,
But it's almost when you house a platform like this and you have your own tool that you've been building, you welcome the speed of AI because it's only going to make your projects better.
yeah.
So
Oh
for
yeah,
you now, you've built the skeleton, you've built the user face, how everything looks. You will very much welcome when 11 Labs drops a new update. You'll very much welcome when Nano Banana Pro goes into another version in a couple of months' time because it's only going to help what you do. And it's
yeah,
not one of those things as like, you'll sit there as a business owner, you'll sit there as owning this product. You won't fear the moment things change because it will only help benefit. Like if one tool that you use went drastically wrong, it's not just going to impact you, it's going to impact everyone. So there'll be a stage where they improve that, they make that better.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that you can go from ages ago, which is the manual process, to now building editors inside of this tool, to the stage of inflection points inside of voice,
Hmm.
and knowing that you have VO here already that
Hmm.
can save a
Hmm.
project to make the video and the film element so cool. That for me is a really, really exciting thing because to
Mm.
us, I think I look at VO and go, "Oh, it's an expensive tool, right? It's going to cost. It must cost you like so much money to make this actually work." But actually, when you feed it through an API and you feed it through the point of view that you want to get to, you actually need VO to make this work. Like,
Yeah,
this
and
is going to be super
yeah,
important.
and the economics, you can figure, like, if the quality is, first of all, you want to make it a great product, you know. And I think for that, like, especially when you're working these things, like, we have a lot of kind of conversation internally in the community as well about, you know, unit economics and all this type of stuff. And there's not a single project I've worked on, like, you know, and these things that already make profit already, that I've thought about unit economics at all yet. You know, because first of all, until they hit some sort of scan, I've noticed, like, look, 5-day sprint has done incredibly well as a product on its own, and it doesn't matter about unit economics at all, because whatever price, if you've got a good enough product, and you can choose a price you want to charge, and even if you're charging people $40, $30 a month for a product, you get so much usage out of it, you know, and they're not going to be sitting on this 24/7 all the time hammering it, you know. And again, you're thinking about it averaging out across a period of users, you know. And so if you've got 1,000 users paying $30 a month, which is $30,000 a month, let's say, you're spending way less than $30,000 on whatever cost it is that it's costing you, way less. You know, so the profit margins, regardless, are insane, and the unit economics only get better as you scale anyway. And you can fluctuate and tweak the pricing as you want when it's your product. You know, you don't have to go out of pocket for it, but you can also choose to be out of pocket if you want. If you say, you know what, no, I'm willing to have people just use a product and to like using it and to get engaged, I'm willing to, you know, have a $5,000 budget for that, so be it. Hey, guess what? People throw up shop fronts and stores and restaurants, pay $100,000 just to make it look nice. People can sit there and eat, you know. So like, you can figure out however you want to figure out the cost structure and investment for yourself. But generally speaking, just to be able to build and put things out this, like, it's almost a silly conversation to even have, of even wanting to question the cost of these type of things right now. It's like, it's the power of it is just so insane that the only thing that you should be doing is building. Like, you shouldn't even be having a money conversation about what it costs right now. You should just build, get into people's hands, build, get into people's hands, build, get into people's hands, and then see what it does over time. And that's exactly what we can do here. Like, you know, as we release this, you guys will see in real time, you know, how it kind of, you know, fleshes out and comes together. and we'll see. We'll literally just see what it becomes. I've literally no idea. We have ambitions, we have ideas, but it's again, the signals around us. Like I was saying, I went to football yesterday, and lads at football are like, man, I need my kids to be playing with this. I'm getting messages from friends and family and people on social media and everyone, like, you, Ollie, as well, who came engaged through this project. People just want to be able to see this out there. So, I think now's the time that we do this, last mile run and get this thing out there into people's hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first call we've done where I've had to take notes halfway through of just little things for me where I'm like, oh, imagine if we could do that. Because I mean, I won't share them now. I'll share them with you privately after. But
give us one, Ollie.
Well, one of them I think will be very, very cool is, I mean, there is probably a world where you could have this. Okay. Okay. There's a world where I think if you create your own story, you could publish it on the site where either people buy it or they buy the clone version so they can recreate their own one. So let's say as a child, you're inspired by this and you're like, oh, I love that story that so-and-so has made. You almost can buy you remix it, you make it your own. And who knows, like you could have Penguin Publishing. Like Penguin could turn around to you and say like, oh, Omar, we love this project. Every single time a really creative story comes out there, we want to publish it so it can then stay digital or it can go in person. And it almost breeds the platform for children to be like, I had no intention of becoming an international bestseller, but the fact that I was just curious about making this all of a sudden allowed me to do that. And like, it's not even in their intentions as a child to make the best story in the world. I'm sure like there'll be a glimmer of them where like, oh, imagine if this could be so good, but they're not to know that you could land this in WH Smith's or Waterstones or Penguin could publish this stuff. But the eventuality is if you can make a story that's so cool that when you share it with your friends and family, they're like, oh, we love this too. Well, if I could hit a publish button, share it to a network of people where they can see this and remix it, it's like, wow.
Well, you can then, almost, go on.
No, I was going to say that could amount to every time someone publishes it, you get a certain amount more credits to start building more projects. Like, it hasn't got to amount to being physical money, but the money element of it is like if they then donated you 5 credits, that meant you can make another story without having to put more credits into a platform. Exactly. It's like, cool. There's
this card, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Go Henry, where basically when you're 6 years old, you can get basically a debit card, and so they allow you to get physical cards. So my mum signs up for them for all like the nieces, all her grandchildren. And so my elder two have them, and they have one of them's got them here. And she tops money on their account, so she'll put like 20 quid, 10 quid, wherever it is. When they're out, they'll understand their budget. And if they see something, they can just like hit the card and contactless. And it's so amazing just seeing them just like interact with this type of thing. And it makes it feel like, oh, it's our money, we're spending it. But parents can also top up, and I'm sure the company's making money off the fees or wherever it is. Now, it's a very unique concept. And I think that what's really cool about this, to your point, is absolutely, you could share. First of all, sharing the story is going to be such a big part of it. Like you build something, and the whole thing here is you're creating experience. So to be able to upload your family tree is going to be essential, because as soon as you wow your grandma with her face in it, touches her heart, she's in there, you share the shareable link, and then there's almost like a button in there for them to top up their account to like inspire their creativity more. Like, hey, quickly Apple Pay another $10. So they're just giving you more tokens. Now you're just sharing your stories, getting tokens, and your family just like granddad's put another $5 on there or whatever. And they just got these tokens in this platform that they want to be able to, they could do more with. Like, oh, like how awesome is that? So there's like such a good element of that. Everyone's sort of powering their kids' creativity. I think it's fascinating. To your point with the publishers, man, like, the Teeny Tales engine could be an offshoot in itself to be able to, I know CGP, you could take, for example, do educational books, just to be able to provide graphics, to provide things that can make their publications better, powered by the Teeny Tales engine. It's just so much here that, really, if I almost did nothing else and just went like all the way in on this product alone, it would probably still be one of the best decisions I ever make in my life. And I'm doing this on the side right now. So I think like the reason this video is going to be so cool is because it's a timestamp of, the 1st December, which I think it is today, right? Is it the 1st December? Yeah, 1st December 2025. And we're like, this is the vision. This is where the product's at. We have no idea what this looks like in the next year, month, 5 years. You just don't know. But that's the cool thing about doing this, is just being open to experimenting, and having these ideas and having these conversations, and then just exploring and building and tweaking as you go, which I'm just like so, just infatuated by that whole experience right now.
Agreed. And when you feel so passionate about something, like enough for you to feel passionate about it to build it, but like even someone like me that has no recollection to any of this process to this stage right now, apart from seeing the content that comes out with it, fully believing myself that when this is launched, this will be something very, very special. Having
Mhm.
two people think that's incredible, but even just having one person alone that's actually building the project itself going, no, I fundamentally believe this will be very, very
Yeah,
good, is kind of the start that
yeah,
if you have ideas that you want to go and build upon, it's always got to be from that place. Like a lot of people build things through passion. So they think, oh, I'd love this to be a project. I'm going to go and build it. So that's a
mhm,
really cool place to start with. But a lot of people also come from the aspect of, I see this happening in another market. I'm going to go and build it. And even if it can just meet the demands of entry level that I can then go and sell it to someone, they can go and top up the other end of it. Fantastic. The curiosity element has to come from that. But I
yes.
would be very, very excited on the 1st of December, 2026, looking back at this one video going,
Yeah.
right, yeah, because
If
I
we
say
even
like when
release
there's
it.
yeah. We look back just going, what was Teeny Tales again? Which project was that?
It's true, it's true. It's, I think that all the ventures and things that I've done that have had meaningful impact, um, business wise, in terms of impact of on customers, revenue, whatever it is, the consistent thing with all of them. And it's funny because I didn't notice this pattern until I looked back on my 20s a little bit. The pattern with all the ones that worked better than the others was just the care that went into them, and not the care in terms of like the craftsmanship of it alone, the genuine care for that product to exist, was there. And that was just the consistency throughout, and like, for example, you're working on a client project, it's not the same because it's not your vision, it's not your idea, it doesn't feel as compelling, and as much of an effort you might give it. But the things that have had the most, most amazing impact have all been things that there's been just such a level of just overall care for this product to exist, and then the way you make it. And I think this is absolutely one of them. 5 Day Sprint is one of them. You just find just so much joy in that project. You want to be doing it all the time. Like I'm like dying just to like start, tweaking around and getting this 11 Labs thing to work or whatever. So yeah. Well, we're going to share a lot more of
No, it's
this. I think
super
that's
cool.
what this is kind of going to be the topic of the moment. A little bit. I'll just be doing random spots of content around this. We'll be sharing it. It's very visually appealing, so I think it will tickle a lot of people's taste buds. And we certainly something that I think is worth showing off to the world. In fact, there was something today where I saw Naval put this tweet out. What did he say? He said UI is so pre AI or
Oh,
something.
I saw that last night. Yeah. No,
Actually
yeah,
wanted
it was
to
that. It literally is that.
I actually wanted to post a tweet in reply to that for fun. Where is this? UI is pre AI. Let's put this tweet out together. Let's do this just while we're on here. It's actually quite funny. You generate a story. Make
Oh,
a
we're
story.
making one, are we?
Oh, you know what? We're gonna go even better. Screen Studio.
Are we going to record this and you're going to reply back to the
Absolutely,
message with this?
absolutely, absolutely. We are.
This is what
Uh,
we do.
don't record camera. Don't record microphone. Area.
Not only do you get to go and see behind the scenes of Teeny Tales, you get to see what tools you're using.
Yeah,
Screen
yeah.
Studio. That's the one. If people want to know how to do things.
Screen Studio is amazing. Um,
Come on,
What
Teeny
should, what should,
Tales.
what
Do
should the tweet be?
your
We post this video and then we say what?
UI is so AI. What was it? AI is no. UI is so. pre-UI. Let's
UI
think
is
of a good
pre-AI.
reply.
Just
UI
too
is
short.
pre-AI. It's got to be. It's got to be. It's got to be short. It's also got to be like hyper relevant to now, almost like a hand in hand kind of UI and AI. Or why can't they be together? Or why can't they work together? UI is so pre-AI. Man, how do people reply to tweets? UI is so pre-AI. This is what happens when humans try and think rather than use AI over.
Yeah, asking ChatGPT for it would be funny if you actually asked ChatGPT for a reply. You know what I mean?
Oh, look at this, man.
Look at this guy.
And what did we ask it? Help him with chores.
Yeah.
Yeah, wicked.
Okay. Now what we do is
If people want to know how to do things. Here we
hold on. Oh, we got the audio.
go. Kill the audio.
Okay, then basically you can just zoom in certain areas. So let's just cut it a bit. So we'll go here. I'm gonna go to
Is this staying in the video, by the way?
yeah.
Good. I was about to say we need to keep this in the video because I've never asked you how you get the zoom in feature. So the
Alright,
fact
it's
that I've
so
just
cool.
learned something new.
Yeah, we can customize it a little bit, so we'll go a bit deep on the zoom. Okay, so the background too we could treat, but it's fine. Show off the coins.
Got to show the coins off. That's what the lottery files are there for.
We'll cut it a little bit here.
UI is so pre-AI. What have you done to us, Naval?
And little zoom in here, manual. Okay.
Whoever built this tool is a genius.
No, he's great. It's one guy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, Dan. I think his name Dan or something. Yeah, it's amazing. No, Pete
No.
Pete Petrie or something like that. I don't know, I can't remember his name. But yeah, cool guy. You know, this is one of my favorite products in the world. Like, it's
That's the
so
best
good.
tool in
Like
the
this,
world.
I actually wish this was Disney. I was like this type of builder. He's made it so cool. I'll have to make a desktop application. Okay, export. 1080p socials, fine. Export to file. Just put in bin.
If this video gets a reply from Naval, then I may have to get on a flight and live on a beach the rest of my life and retire.
Yeah, we won't know what it's going to do. I think it's, but I think what he's actually meaning is like the future is going to be no UI. It's just going to be brain interface, really, isn't it?
There's going to be a lot of that. I think
But
I can't wait for the phone not to be here. I must admit to you, I'm looking forward to just having access to all the phone through my glasses.
I just don't need all this. Don't need to speak to people. It's too much pressure. Too much.
I'm just gonna buy a nice pair of glasses.
In it. Ben. Drop the video.
Let's go. You are so pretty. We couldn't think of a reply, so we're going to reply with an emoji.
First of all, what's funny is all my recent emojis.
You can tell it's been Black Friday.
You should know I'm not a dirty boy. There's no aubergine in there. It's just some emails, love hearts, you know, cool stuff. Canada flag.
No. Yes. That would have been hilarious.
Oh my goodness, yeah. You gotta find a fight. Let's just do one emoji.
Have a curious face one, or the imposter one. I like that one.
The imposter one. What's that? This.
If you go up a little bit into the middle, there's one with like wearing a. There you go. Glasses and eyebrows next to the sunglasses one.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Cool. All right. So there's our video.
There we go.
Yeah, it's funny. All right, cool. Well, that's a fun episode, fun sesh. Now, let's see what this becomes. I guess we'll see where the Teen Tales leads us. What happens? We'll keep building. Keep jump on a 5-day sprint. Of course, 5daysprint.com. Give us a follow. And just see what we're doing. And I think we'll be sharing a lot more about Teen Tales and what we're doing with it over the next month or so.
Is this video dropping today, or is it likely to be later in the week?
I think it'll be today. I'm going to try and get it out today.
Well, the Black Friday deal may be worth touching on then.
Oh yeah, well yeah, we're dropping we've dropped a exclusive really for people who are wanting to jump into 5-day sprint. At the moment, you get access to the course, all the courses, the community, the framework, just the whole universe, and it's the annual price. On the monthly subscription right now, it'll be about $2,300, but we've done like an 80% Black Friday discount, making it $500 for the year, which is basically like $1.36 a day. So it's like such a steal, but it's gonna basically expire today. So if you want to get that, I'll put a link down there in the description for everyone to hop in and make use of the Black Friday for the last few hours if you see this video. Even if you made it to this end, the end of this, in which case you have to sign up. At this point, you're kind of obliged to. But we'd love to see you guys in there and just building with us. So yeah, that's a Black Friday 5-day sprint. Yeah, good point, Ollie. It's worth sharing that. So if anyone wants to start building, wants to see more, then hop in.
400 like-minded people in there as well, which is so cool to see people building every single day. It's awesome. And for the price, I'm surprised you went 80%. That's insane. So. Fair play to you. That's very good. Man of the people.
Yeah, it's like when you have when like if you say to someone rate this 1 out of 10, they say 7. It's just safe. You know what I mean? Like whatever. It's got to be like it's got to be between 1 and 3 or like 8 and 10. It can't be anything from like 4 to 7. That's too safe. So I was like, if I do 60, 70, it's like but I was like, no, let's just give you guys what you want for the weekend, and then But a lot of people have been hopping in, so it's going to be fun to if anyone else wants to hop in. So yeah, the link will be down there in the description. And as always, Ollie and I will see you next week.
Thank you so much. See you then.
See ya. Bye.
Clap, 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 we're done just right. 5-day sprint took us to new heights. Make it